My name is Celeste Oram. I'm a composer and I'm this year's Auckland Philharmonia Young Composer in Residence. I've written a piece called Macropsia for the orchestra for this year's Discovery concert. Macropsia is a neurological condition whereby the brain and the eye perceives objects around you to be much larger than they actually are. So it's also called Alice in Wonderland syndrome, actually. The piece is basically about kind of gigantic and monstrous discrepancies of scale. So very, very small things that suddenly morph into enormous things. I'm really fascinated by especially string sounds and sounds that string instruments can make, and that unfortunately don't often get a look in orchestral repertoire because they're sounds that are either deemed kind of too complicated for a short rehearsal or too quiet to even sort of cut through the orchestra. But I thought, well, you have an orchestra and there's, you know, a good kind of often 30, maybe even 40 string players sitting there. If you get them all making really small sounds, surely that'll create this kind of swarm-like effect, much in the way that, say, one insect, like one cicada, you know, doesn't make that impressive a sound, but if you get a whole bush full of them, it can be quite deafening. And it's not just as simple as that the sound gets amplified, it's more that the sound gets sort of multiplied. At the beginning, the strings all start off playing collegno, which is when they play with only the wood of the bow, so not the hair at all, and just kind of tapping the string. That's the sort of tingling part that then eventually kind of spreads throughout the whole string section. And often they're playing so high up that I've actually just indicated to play as high as they can. So we get this pitch that is so high it's kind of almost indiscernible. It's like supersonic.
Yeah?
Yeah, great.
I mean, it could go higher, but...
No, I think we kind of lose it if it gets too high. So like just beyond the bridges. Yeah. That's perfect.
Are you usually quite descriptive with your tempos?
I try to be, yes. But also I think there's a point at which you sort of go too far, because what the information the players want is how to play. Minim equals 66, viscous and creaking. Crotchet equals 108, restless and nimble. So I do try to choose words that are going to help the players actually sort of get the overall picture from just the snippet of their own part that they see on the stand. After the whole piece has been very active and very kind of crawling, finally we get to the final section where things just kind of start winding down. All of the strings, again, are playing extremely high up, but I've got them playing with practice mutes, which is even more mutey than just a regular mute. This is my goodie bag of practice mutes for the orchestra. This is a violin practice mute, so it just goes right over the bridge. Basically, again, they're playing so high that you end up hearing more of just the hair on the string and that kind of really scratchy, rosiny sound.
Is that the kind of sound?
Yeah,
That's what you're after?
As like, the ricochets can really be as skiddy as possible. Yeah, exactly. By the time you get the entire string section doing that, it's just kind of like this chorus of shrieking bats. This kind of surround sound of oozing, creepy instruments.
That's it.
Cool.